Good morning. What I love about springtime is that there are so many different things growing. And we've shared a lot about that in the past, but I tell you, I don't get enough of it. So right now, here, these beautiful snowball bushes are bringing forth these gorgeous, generous, abundant balls of flowers, petals, that are each individually like little tiny flowers, every single one of them, and bunched together in this beautiful creative way of creating these snowballs. I mean, it's amazing if you look at it. And when I think of the detail that goes into this kind of creation, I wonder sometimes, I used to wonder sometimes, we might wonder sometimes, if God has time for us because of all of the creativity and detail work that goes into making creation as it is. Sometimes it feels like creation is one grand orchestra that God stands before and through a loving gaze and a loving gesture brings to life this bush and then this tree and then allows the sky to bring forth this beauty. But that is linear thinking. We inevitably and understandably use our understanding of God, we use our understanding and experiences of human beings as a parallel to God. So we inevitably think of God the same way we would think of people. So if people don't have time for us or are extraordinarily busy or understandably busy, we often feel like we have to speak faster or we need to do something that keeps their attention. If you're speaking to someone and they look over your shoulder while you're talking to them, so they're listening but not really listening. They're present but not really present. Sometimes that happens, and we might easily think that God operates the same way. There's so much that God's juggling, and so God must actually behave in the same manner as human beings do. But many theologians and many saints will tell you that's just not true. God is fully present to you, not just partially, not just when God doesn't have anything else to do, but completely and fully present at every single moment. It's not a competition, but God needs time and attention to take care of the beauty of creation. God needs time and attention to take care of those in the ICU and in the COVID wards in our hospitals. God needs time and attention to care for the caregivers. But imagine this, that there's no line in front of God. There's no jockeying for first place. Every single one of us has all of God's attention. God is the only one in our lives that is fully present to us at all times. Human beings just aren't able to do that. God is. And St. Ignatius encourages us to consider this when we pray, that we sit before God and we see God before us. And then we see God looking at us. That God's eyes lovingly gaze upon us. And we don't cast our eyes down, we lift our eyes to keep the gaze of God. Imagine that kind of attention that we give to one another. God gazing at me, and I gazing back at God, holding that gaze, feeling that incredible love that God has for me and for you in that gaze. Many times we may feel like we have to hurry our prayers along, or we have to make a list of our intentions so that we can buzz through those and not take up more of God's time. But now we know that isn't necessary. God has all the time in the world for you. So take a moment as you sign off from this video and imagine God before you and you before God. And allow God to gaze upon you and hold that gaze of God's with your own eyes and allow that presence of God, that unconditional love for which God has all the time, to be what the experience of your prayer is like. And take that into every prayer going forward. God has time for you. You're the apple of God's eye. You are the peak of God's creation. You are the only thing that God has created that is exactly like God, that possesses the divine spirit within.